Have you here. Hi, everybody. How are you? Missed last week. I was on Portland, Oregon. My son got married. Beautiful wedding. So what does that mean? Well, what is the meaning of that? I've been trying to figure it out. Does that mean instead of one person calling me on occasion to borrow money, and I got two people? Or does it mean he's going to be independent and just all sorts of different things? It was kind of like, when those of you who have children, when you send your child off to kindergarten for the first time, it's really a time of mixed emotions. Part of you is he's growing up and he's going off to school. Another part is you just want to hold him back and protect him because you know that this is the beginning of a time that's going to go so fast. It's just, I don't know, I get confused. I'm confused right now. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to stall time so I can remember what the lesson was about. I read in the paper this week, 8 years ago, a woman, her two children, and her husband were in an old Ford driving cross country. All of their clothes and belongings were in the trunk. They had no money. They were basically homeless. So, what did that mean? What did that mean to her? It could have meant, I might have to give the children up so that they can find a good, stable home to be raised in. It might have meant to her, my husband and I are going to have to separate, and I will go to a women's shelter, and he'll go to a men's shelter. It might have meant my life is over. I am condemned to be impoverished for the rest of my life, and nothing will ever change. But to her it meant, well, this is the end of one chapter of my life, but it's also the beginning of a new chapter of my life. And she found her way to the Salvation Army, where they housed the family. The husband went back to school. She began to study graphic design. She eventually began to pick up jobs for graphic design, went on to build her own business. 8 years later, she went to the Salvation Army and gave them a check for $25,000. For the great service that they provided her. Now, the reason I bring that up is because life happens. Situations and circumstances appear. Some are wanted, some are not wanted. But basically, it's what we do with them that makes a difference. See, life doesn't make us feel any particular way. It's exactly the opposite. We make what happens in life feel a particular way. And it all takes place in our consciousness. Now, if you're here for the first time, or if you're somewhat new to Unity, you'll often hear us say that your consciousness creates your reality. Your consciousness creates your reality. And sometimes that's hard to understand. You drive down the street, you get in a car accident. Did my consciousness create that? Well, no, it didn't create that. That is just an activity of life. What your consciousness creates is the experience of it. Everything is about individual consciousness. That's the whole thing, your whole life. My standing up here right now talking to you is taking place in your consciousness, and you're determining how you feel about it. Everything is in your consciousness. Consciousness is the whole shebang. Without consciousness, there is nothing. Now, in consciousness, we find thoughts and feelings. Consciousness is the residence for all of our thoughts and feelings. And the thoughts and feelings are those that have been imposed upon us as we've grown up. The thoughts and feelings are creative imagination that we have conceived of and created within our mind. The thoughts and feelings are sometimes factual, they're sometimes false. And that is the thing about consciousness. It can't tell the difference between what's true and what's false. And the other thing about consciousness is it's not discriminatory. If you impress upon your consciousness or lodge something in your consciousness, it accepts it without judgment. If you heard most of your life that you are a bad little boy, the consciousness just accepts that. It doesn't judge, am I bad or not bad? It just takes that in. And that is its form of reference going forward, that I'm a bad little boy. So the consciousness has two functions, actually. The first is to store all the thoughts and the feelings that we have from the beginning of our conscious awakening at the age of 2 or 3 up till about 10. All the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and perceptions are stored in our consciousness. And the other part of consciousness is to perceive what's going on in the world around us. So we become consciously aware of something in the world around us, and we turn to the consciousness to tell us, what does this mean? The consciousness brings forth the meaning that we've established or that we've committed to. Now, all the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and perceptions in our consciousness join together to create a belief system. And that is our own personalized, individual way of looking at the world. Our belief system is what defines what is happening in the world around us. And it's all ours, nobody else's. Nobody can fully realize what's in your consciousness, not even you, because there's layers and layers and layers and layers of thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and perceptions, and that you have committed to throughout your life. So we have the consciousness, which is let's say it's the computer. The computer was designed after the human mind. So let's say our consciousness is the computer. Our thoughts and feelings are the programming that we put into the computer. All of our thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and perceptions. Our belief system is the common theme of what we believe to be true. So as we move into life, and this is going to be difficult to understand, it might be mind-boggling at first, but as you go through life, you engage yourself in activity of some sort, and that activity, that person, place, thing, situation, circumstance, or happenstance is absolutely meaningless to you until you give it meaning. Now let me say that one more time. You move into an activity of life, situation, circumstance, activity, and it is meaningless until you determine what it means to you. And you determine what it means to you based on the belief system, the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and perceptions that you've committed to. Now that all sounds very simple, pretty primary, elementary. That we go through life, we determine what something means, and that creates the emotional experience that we have. But the point I'm trying to make is that you are the one that creates the experience that you have based on the meaning that you give everything.